Welcome back to the Shed Dogs podcast. This is episode 86. Thanks for coming along. We got a bunch of stuff on our mind. Some of it's pretty fun. Some of it's a little more on the serious side, but all of it should be entertaining and at least somewhat informative. So come along for the ride. Here we go. I have a thing I did want to ask, though. What is this thing all about?
All right. I hand delivered to you guys these because I had actually planned on doing this at the next session. This was back before the pandemic. So these are some things that I ordered off eBay. And so those of you who are watching the video can see. And in fact, so let me see if I can set this up right.
I'm exhausted already.
I was going to set up a little clothesline in here and just have different objects come floating by the screen. Just random willy-nilly.
And then we could stick in a little mechanical noise after. Sorry, RJ.
Were either of you into trading cards when you were kids at all?
Not really. Not me.
KJ?
You?
Tiny bit.
Yeah, and I was not. Rob from Saskatoon was big time into baseball cards. He had at first a great big shoebox full of them. He had some of which would be worth, of course, well, would probably be worth a lot of money right now. But just as a sidebar, what we're going to find, you're not going to open your little packets yet, but what you are going to find inside them are some trading cards.
Well, the fun just went right out of that.
Yes.
It's not going to be a wafer of gold in there. I mean,
well, I think what you're going to find in there is pretty awesome. But in the course of doing a little bit of research for this segment, I discovered the following about trading cards. So, like back in the day, as far back for us as the 60s, we would have been aware that trading cards, if you just had, of course, a Babe Ruth trading card, that would be worth a huge amount today. Rob had a Whitey Ford trading card. He was a legendary pitcher for the New York Yankees. I remember he had one of those, and that would be worth a huge amount today or in the future. It turns out that the bottom has fallen out of the trading card market. So, you bought them, you kept them, you had put them, your mom threw some out, but maybe you managed to keep some in pristine condition, maybe in a special little vinyl wrapper or something. And what happened is in the 90s, they were still big. Some point in the 2000s, I think it was the first decade of the millennium, a lot of old guys started to die.
That's where I was going to go. I'm glad you got us there, because that's my assumption is the market was flooded when all the collectors started to die and their kids just dumped those things onto the market.
You look at us at our age right now, we're thinking, I need less stuff, right? Like if I'm going to get some stuff, it's because I really, really want to use it. But in terms of collectibles, I don't know. Like, what's the point is what I think at this point.
Yeah.
And so I think the people who would even know who Whitey Ford is, they're going, I don't want another card. I'm trying to get rid of all these old stacks of stuff. Anyway, so all those years, just buy this. Oh, it'll be worth so much. And this is the cycle. Maybe 200 years from now, an original Whitey Ford card will be amazingly valuable because there's only 3 left in the entire world. I could get that. But
yeah, that's the same. It's like hanging on to all the posters that original stickers that came with, Dark Side of the Moon. You still got yours? Is it pristine? Oh, I've been saving that thing. Oh, I got the album and oh, look at that. You weren't supposed to.
A trading card. This is a Kevin McNulty trading card that he's showing us.
Somebody made in their basement.
Nice. And for those of you listening to this on their podcast apps, you can look at the cover art right now and you should see the Kevin McNulty trading card. It's fantastic.
So does that mean we can look? he looked without being told that he could
No,
look.
he did not look. No, he was showing us something different that he pulled out because this topic. Okay, guys. Now,
I beg your pardon, KJ.
Okay, now what you're going to find inside here? I think you can go ahead and open it now.
Woo!
Okay, ready? KJ, get ready.
No, I'm not ready.
Come on, man. Come on. Ooh, I'm feeling in here. These feel like wafers of gold, actually.
Oh, okay, ready. Oh, ready.
All right, let's see them. What we have here. Oh, there we go. Dinosaurs Attack. It was very exciting.
That's what Dinosaurs Attack was.
That's what that was. So I'm just going to turn off my background here.
I did not get that at all.
So we're opening now, are we?
Yeah, so before you open it, let me just tell you a little bit about this. So the reason I even heard about these things was because Brady Heron of the Hello Internet podcast was really into Dinosaurs Attack cards, and I heard him describe them, and I thought, that is funny. These cards came out in 1988, made by, you may recall, the Topps company.
Oh, yeah. Double bubble.
Yeah, exactly. So what we have inside these cards that you're about to open are going to be 5 cards. And these are unopened. These vintage 1988. They are.
Really? These are actually from back then?
They are from back then. They're not reprints. And what it is that I think a whole bunch of people bought them thinking, oh man, these are going to be worth something someday. And these days you can buy them on the internet for less than they cost brand new because people bought a whole bunch thinking I'm going to make $1 million. So now what you're going to find inside here are 5 cards.
And gum.
Hey, don't eat the gum. As the editor, do not eat the gum.
Well,
eat it after.
I've been looking on YouTube, and there are videos on YouTube of people eating the gum from older cards than this.
And it's not a health thing. I just don't want to have to edit chewing sounds out for the next hour. That's
the gum's what happens is it just crackles. It's ultra dry.
You can actually see in the back of this thing, it actually says 1982 right on it.
Oh, 82? 88.
88, I beg your pardon, which is super cool.
Yeah. Now my gum, there it is. It came off. Yeah. Bobby, you going to try it?
He eats it
anyways.
Nice.
Good God. It's crunching. This is 1988 food, everybody.
Oh.
I don't think I'm going to swallow this, though, if that's all right.
Let's see. 98, 08, 18. So this is 32-year-old gum that KJ just tried.
Well, it's all in fragments, too.
Let me ask you, KJ, how did it taste?
There was certainly some granulated sugar in there, if nothing else.
I just need to pestle it a bit then. Okay.
I dropped some on the floor. I got to pick it up before the dogs get it. I don't want to kill them right out.
Yeah, I'm looking at my cards, RJ. Can I think that?
Yeah, I'm curious as to whether all 10 packs. I got a pack of 10. And so what I did was I gave you guys 2 each. 2 packs, that means 10 cards. And I myself have 2 packs. I've got 1 pack I'm going to save to give to the kids so they can save it and make $1 million one day. And then I've got 3 packs to give away to our listeners. The first 3 people who write in for correspondence based on this episode, and all you have to do is in your email say, I want my Dinosaur Attacks cards. Just say that.
Boy, RJ.
And then we will mail to you, include your address, your actual physical mailing and address. We will mail to you a free pack of Dinosaur Attacks cards to trade with us or with your friends.
I'm looking for repeats already in mine. I don't see any yet.
Yeah, I think you should get 5 unique ones. But the question is, did you get the same 5 unique ones that I got?
No, that's the thing. And also, I did not get the same 5 unique ones in both packages. I got 10 unique cards, it looks like to me.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, I have here number 28. Number 28, Saurian Secrets. And I'll hold it up now, and we'll put it on your podcast app. You can see it right now. So this is number 28, Saurian Secrets.
Nice, nice.
And on the back, it says, Dr. Elias Thorne, temporal physicist. So he's a physicist who is able to move dinosaurs. See, what happened was the time thing got broken and dinosaurs got actually transported forward in time into modern days.
He's the guy whose fault this all is. All the peril and awfulness reflected in these cards is that guy's fault.
He says, my staff and I have been working feverishly to reverse the cataclysmic time tilt and send the dinosaurs back to their own era. Finally, after 40 sleepless hours, I slumped over my desk and had a curious dream.
Nice.
Oh,
So,
this is
RJ,
awesome.
I've got number 27 here. And on the back, it says, see card number 28, Saurian Secrets, because this is 27.
Oh.
Soviets versus Dimetrodons.
Dimetrodons. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it's a little picture. See the little picture of him on the back with the alien? Just like what's on your card.
Oh, nice. Pull it back a little bit so it comes into focus. That's good. That's good.
So it gives you a little hint as to how the story all hangs together.
Oh, I see. Okay.
How about A Kid Strikes Back? Card number 31, A Kid Strikes Back.
Pull back a little bit. Good. Oh,
Kid Strikes
nice.
Back.
Oh,
Nice.
nasty.
And
A
looks
rocket.
like he got a hold of a bazooka. And the text at the back's very hard to read, but it says, it's a news story. Canarsie, Brooklyn, at 11:42 this morning, a National Guardsman armed with a rocket launcher was
Just carry on
escorting
while I get water.
little Melissa Rogers and her infant brother Evan to safety when disaster struck from the skies. A pteranodon swooped down and grabbed the guardsman, hurling him to gruesome death on the pavement below. 12-year-old Melissa, a fan of war comics, picked up the fallen rocket launcher and prepared it for use. When a Ceratosaurus turned the corner and began harassing little Evan, Melissa was more than ready for it. In a blinding instant, she blew a hole straight through the oncoming beast. Splattered with the dinosaur's blood, Melissa smiled triumphantly, then gave her little brother an enthusiastic thumbs up. Wowie, that's some action. Let me just tell you that. And that was number 30. And I have 31 here. Just a minute. I'll just show you this. It's an appalling picture. And it's the caption is, "Our forces flattened." And it shows some hapless doctor-looking guy who's just been squished. So these cards, pretty graphic. Like last one, rocket going through a dinosaur. This one, some guy squished flat.
This is called number 26, Coasting to Calamity. And it's the roller coaster going straight into the dinosaur's mouth.
These are awesome.
These are ridiculous.
These are awesome.
And that first one, you get something inside it, right? This guy is a peel back guy, right?
Oh, they're stickers.
Oh, is that what they are? Oh, nice.
See, there's the ones I got. Trachodon and
nice.
Ankylosaurus.
Check out mine. Come on, look. You got to look.
Oh, pull them back just a little. Little more. I think that's okay. It's kind of hard to tell. Look at yours has got guys getting killed, though. Oh, so does mine.
Oh, yeah.
This
on the Triceratops horn. This one, the Plesiosaurus. It's been suggested that the famous Loch Ness monster in Scotland is a surviving plesiosaur, since this species originally lived in the area.
And it so happens, Rich is missing out here big time now. Oh, yeah. That's Nessie. So happens that I have the final card in the story.
What number is it?
54.
And what does it say?
Well, on the back, it says, "And so the human race survives. We pick ourselves out of the rubble of a ravaged world and look toward tomorrow with renewed hope. The Saurian was right. Human beings do have souls. This is our salvation." How ironic. Through time scan, Elias and I hope to learn why the dinosaurs were wiped out of existence 65 million years ago. Well, we've finally discovered what annihilated them. We did. End of story.
Okay, how about we go through our cards and find the most goriest card that we can find, each of us.
Okay, I'm putting mine up. I got London in Flames.
Okay, what do we got here?
Back up a little more. Back up.
Just people pickled on this.
Oh, I've got that one. Yeah, I've got that one.
I can see the spikes that have gone right through all those people.
Yeah.
I like that there's a guy half in the mouth. Like I was looking for dismemberment as my...
Here's a nice and gory one.
Oh, somebody is ripped in half. Okay, well, there you go. That's, that's pretty... I think that might be our winner right there. This
That's number 37, Picnic of Peril. In 1988, what age do you think is buying these cards?
12-year-old boy.
12-year-old. I think 8-year-olds are going to have them too, right?
Yeah. 12 max, 8-year-old just because, whoa, man.
And how about a 4-year-old?
No way.
At what age are they going to go, oh my God? Like mom goes, oh, it's some collector cards. Yeah. Here you go, Johnny. Just take those. And
at 4 years old, mom's going to intervene when they see somebody ripped in half by 2 dinosaurs. That's nightmare material.
So these are amazing. I'm looking forward to getting my best reading glasses on afterwards and carefully going through them, looking for any flaws, cataloging them, looking for duplicates. And if I do have any dupes, then I'm hoping to be able to trade with you guys. And
I don't have any dupes though at all. I'm sure I do not. No, okay. I went through looking already once.
All right, and listeners, just write us a correspondence through the usual methods. We are sheddogs@gmail.com, or on our website, there's the contact page, or on a Facebook comment, or a comment on our webpage. Just include the words, and I can't remember what the words were, but something along the lines of, PJ is holding up number 45, Anchorman's Peril.
And then here's what's on the back that explains the picture.
Oh, please stand by, it says.
Blank TV screen with please stand by in old style computers font.
Right, because the producer said, okay, go to the please stand by screen. We can't show what the dinosaur is doing to the Anchorman.
Yeah, the Anchorman's toast.
Yes. So include in your correspondence something along the lines of send me my dinosaurs attacks cards or something like that, then and give us your I guess you'll have to email us your address. You probably won't want to post that publicly, so just send us that in an email to wearesheddogs@gmail.com, or we'll just get in touch with you to get your address for mailing the prize pack. And we have an immense expense account for the stamps and everything, so we'll cover that.
Attaboy. You know, this gum, I ate one of these things. It was hideous. Just oof.
Any sweetness?
No, it's just like all chemical all day. It's not, I don't know how you found it, KJ, but I found that gum to be horrible. It just tasted like, I don't know, chalk or something. It was pretty bad.
And listeners, if you want, just go onto eBay and search for Dinosaurs Attacks. They're very reasonably priced. Okay, I got a couple listener mails here. We talked about shingles vaccines, and Mike from Rosslyn had already sent us a very, very short, terse email saying, get your shingles vaccine because it's terrible not to. But he has given us more detail now. He says, hey, dogs, I also had shingles. Joanne thought I had reacted to a sunscreen. Then saw that the next day it was worse. I got a prescription for an antiviral that second day, and I think it helped reduce the time that I suffered. And oh man, do you suffer. It turns out that 3 people in my department got it different days, with the one that had recurring flare-ups. Anyway, Mike's just saying, get your shingles vaccine. I highly concur. Sue and I are now able to get our second, because you have to get 2 vaccines to make it work. And we have in our calendar the last date that we can get it, because we're not all excited to go down to the pharmacy in this pandemic. So we're holding off a bit. We're allowed to do it up to 6 months after the first one.
Was Mike suggesting that it's contagious?
No, he wasn't. I don't think he was anyway, but it is not contagious. But it just turned out that several different people got it
But
close together.
not necessarily this. Oh, it was fairly close together, but not necessarily at the same time or anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Huey from, I believe it is Fort St. John. Sorry, it's Huey from Janelle. That's just our running joke, guys. But anyway,
I didn't want to guess Janelle because it's the standard joke guess.
That's
Except for
what
I thought, I think he really does live in Janelle.
oh, he does.
Yeah.
He does live in Janelle, but I always like to give it a different name each time. Anyway, Huey from Janelle says, "Hi, dogs. You recall, guys, that we did some information about tumbleweeds. So he writes in about that. I enjoyed seeing you on the YouTube podcast, probably number 81. In 1983, I drove my then new sports car down to Reno via Route 95, and for the first time saw tumbling tumbleweeds. You also saw jackrabbits and rattlesnakes. This all occurred in southern Oregon and northern California before crossing into Nevada. Those were the most interesting things that happened on the trip." It was because that eastern Oregon and northeastern California are pretty flat, can be kind of boring. Anyway, he says, "It was in October, and this was my last cruise of the year before storing the car. The song Tumbling Tumbleweeds always reminds me of this trip. Cheers, Huey."
Thanks, Huey.
Yeah.
Those road trips can be pretty magical. And, it was interesting. I had some reason to go into Wikipedia to look at Oregon, and Eastern Oregon and Western Oregon each have their separate Wikipedia entries because they're so geographically completely different from each other.
Also, there's not a political movement on to secede from Oregon, is there?
No.
We want to have our own state of Western Oregon.
Well, I think Oregon itself might want to secede.
Yeah, no, I just meant within Oregon, are they going to split?
Oregon's a funny place. It's a very liberal state, and it has some real conservatism inside it as well. And I think that partially has to do with the East versus West divide. But the city of Portland itself had a no blacks policy for easily 100 years. So they basically had 0 blacks in the city of Portland until I don't know when. Can look that up on Wikipedia. But to this day, it probably has a lower than a typical city.
If I was a person of color, I don't think I'd be heading to a place that had 100-year, only recently ended history of absolute straight out don't come here. Don't think I'd be doing that.
Yeah, and yet Portland is a super liberal city, so it's just kind of interesting.
Oh, I was just going to say, speaking of liberals and conservatives, there's a link we should put up on the website to a Psychology Today article that explains why people support Trump. I'm just not going to go through it all, but if you've ever wondered that, which I have for about 3 years now, it offers from a psychological perspective what compels people to stick with him through thick or thin, regardless of all the stuff that I find just incredible. It's kind of a fun thing. Some of it you will have imagined yourself already, and some of it, I didn't know before. So it doesn't really explain it. It just suggests about 6 or 7 different possibilities. So I think I'd like for us to put the link to that up. That was sent from Leslie of Durham, because last night I was on a Zoom call with my 2 brothers and my sister and their kids, and this came up and I was expressing confusion over that, and so she sent me that today. Oh, and there's another thing in our long-standing category of terrific band names. My nephew, Max, is going to start a band probably a year and a half from now. He's going to go to school and then relocate to Richmond, and when he gets to Richmond, start a band because he knows some guys and he plays guitar. So my suggestion from yesterday's Twitter feed was the Ruddy Turnstones, and that's the name of a bird. Ruddy Turnstone is a bird, and I think there's an endless supply of wicked good band names in the bird naming world.
Well, let me guess. The Ruddy Turnstones, do they like to literally turn stones over and peck at the bugs underneath?
Yeah, they look like it was something sent from way up north, and I think there's something that lives along the shoreline. So yes, it turns rocks over and picks up whatever's wiggling around under the rocks, I think. Yeah. So it's just fun. Ruddy Turnstone, I thought, was a really fun name. So I just thought I'd throw that's more or less public service, for those of our listeners out there starting bands, because many of us have time on our hands right now and either retired or confined. Might want to start a band. We should start a band. Maybe we should reserve that name.
From Melanie from the Crow's Nest Past.
Right.
I said the Crow's Nest Past, but of course it's the Crow's Nest Past. Yes, that's right. Anyway, she says, Jute and I are a little behind on the podcasts. Oops. So, in response to ringtones and juggling, below is the only way I could find to send you my ringtone and memories of juggling. The venue is the Fruitvale Memorial Hall. The event is Jute and Mel's wedding. Performer Cuke. So Cuke juggled at Jute and Mel's wedding. Oh my goodness. I believe I did as well, I think. There he is. Some nice pictures. We will also put those on the podcast. Cuke was the premier juggler in our group of friends in the 70s. She also says, enjoying your rambling.
No, it's carefully structured. People don't know that there's a script for all of this.
Yes. Let's see. Oh, we got a YouTube comment. That was just from Mike from Rossland saying, hey, I'm your first commenter. So that's all I got.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for getting out there, registering your presence. Most people, the 40 other viewers chose not to identify themselves.
In the early days of the internet, maybe even before the internet, there would be comment boards or whatever, or blogs or whatever. Anyway, so people would post, and a very common first post in reply, first comment would be the word "first!" exclamation point. And that became a thing.
That.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And then within a few months of that, it became, first. And then the second comment was eyes roll.
God. And so the content creators richly rewarded, eh?
Yeah.
RJ, I think you were just about to embark on an explanation of our headgear. I thought you were just about to tell people about that.
I was. How did you know that?
Because I interrupted you.
No, but well, we both were starting to talk, and I didn't even think I got a word out of my mouth, but I must have. Yeah, just for our listeners who are our viewers who are looking on the YouTube, you'll see the three of us wearing our Shed Dogs caps. We refer to them from time to time, but you usually can't see them. The color of our caps is actually color coded, and KJ there is there in the shed. He's got his blue microphone and a blue cap. When we're in the shed, PJ and I have a red microphone and he has a green microphone. Each of the microphones have a color cable as well, and that color cable matches, and that cable goes all the way into our little interface that we use to record with. So that's how we keep everything in order, is the colors.
Yeah, but you want to probably tell people something about why we wear these dippy hats, RJ.
Because we like our hats. They're flat brim hats, so we feel like,
There you go. Now you're getting to it.
I think, I've seen, young commenters saying, I wish those old guys had stopped wearing the flat brim hats. It really, I've actually seen that before, and I'm going, Sonny, back when you were just a twinkle in somebody's eye, old farmers were wearing flat-billed caps. It's you who have appropriated it from us. And in fact, it is you who appropriated it from the hip-hop guys who appropriated it from us. So,
yeah.
We own these flat-billed caps.
And
the whole Korean thing, that's our thing. Finger heart.
Yeah.
Huh?
Sending love.
Except for, well, my hat came with a little flaw there, so I'm unable to send love. You may have noticed that.
PJ's is this. You had one thing. One thing.
That's right. I hate it when guys go, oh. Yeah, no, the hats are supposed to, in my opinion, the hats are intended to lend attitude. When we put these things on, we're coming for business. We're coming to do this podcast. We know we're in the shed when we're wearing these hats. So they're handy for when we have to remote like this. I can feel just like I'm sitting in the shed just because I've got this uncomfortable, unsightly hat on. Normally, let's face it, outside the confines of the shed, I'm a much different person. I'm much more positive. I tend to not get upset and irritated by petty little nonsensical things. It's only when we're ready for production that I let all that stuff out. I think you can both vouch for that.
That's not how I find it, Skinny, but if you want to delude yourself, you go right ahead.
Okay, color me deluded. I want to know, KJ, you had an item in our list of things to talk about called "Where Are the Billionaires?" And I suspect I have a guess as to where that might have come from, but did you want to elaborate? Because if you don't, I will.
Was that my entry?
Sure enough.
Oh, well then. Well, yeah, just one of my little questions. Like, why aren't they stepping up in, especially the United States of America, that seems to be leaderless right now? And I think some of them are, but you'd sort of think. I mean, Jeff Bezos is like kicking people off the workforce because they're complaining about working conditions and stuff. Like, all that money is nobody's watching where all that money's going, right? There, it's cuckoo down there. What do you got, Skin?
Well, that's exactly what I thought you were talking about with that. And yeah, there's Jeff Bezos comes up a lot in social media as he has enough money to fix a whole bunch of problems. Why isn't he doing it? And yes, Amazon apparently they were seeking charitable donations to fund people's leaves, like Amazon employees that were being asked. Have you noticed too? It's a fun thing. They've started using furlough as the word to replace laid off or fired. They were furloughed. Furlough used to have a pretty positive connotation because it meant you were being taken out of a combat situation or a military service and sent home to see your loved ones. And now you're getting furloughed if you've lost your job. Anyway, there's a lot. And yeah, the question was, where is that? I think it was $1.5 trillion. There was some move to control it, and when he signed the executive order approving it, Trump added a little bit in there that said, I'm not going to report and I'm not going to respond to requests for documentation about where this money is going. So
and I'm going to fire the inspector general anyway.
Yeah, so if that doesn't suggest problems, yeah, I don't know. There's since been a whole bunch of complaints about people who run small businesses that are not getting help, and yet large profitable businesses are receiving enormous amounts of money and so on and so forth. There's some of that going on in Canada as well. I will say, though, in Canada's defense, first off, I'm just really grateful to live here right now during this business. And they started throwing money right early on. As soon as people started losing jobs, they did this thing, what is it? Canadian Emergency Response Benefit.
Correct.
And boy, oh boy, I don't know. After the fact, I'm sure they're going to do something to recover some of the money they have given out because they are really exercising very little control over who gets what. They're obviously their prime directive was to get it into people's hands as quick as they could because people were missing rent and missing payments and all kinds of stuff. And you basically, if you're over 15, you made more than $5,000 last year, and you're not already drawing EI, you're good. That was it. No question about whether you have assets, no question about whether you have income from other sources, no nothing. I left out one criteria, which was you have to have lost your job as a result of the coronavirus, and I met all those criteria, so I got it, and I got it immediately too. So what does that say? I can only see the Donald's name.
How popular is Donald Trump?
What we have is a 43.7% approval rating for him right now. So it's dropping. We've got the disapprove is 52.1%. It's going up. Now, any president who is president in a crisis, their rates go through the roof. Like Trudeau's approval ratings right now would be extremely high, except for the core who just will hate him no matter what he does, which maybe 25% of Canadians, probably 20%. But other than that, he's going to be super high right now because he's doing largely the right thing, or he appears to be. Trump is the only guy who's ever been, in a crisis like this, and he just stays. Here it is. It's just his base plus 5%. That's pretty well it. So anyway, it's a good sign, I think.
Yeah, that article is a good read. It reflects how his base is completely invulnerable to logic and why they might be that way. The things that motivate people to continue to support just no matter what. And they apply to not just him, to anybody in a similar position where they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff, that your intellect would tell you, geez, that's probably really bad. But
Yeah.
your emotions tell you to continue supporting it anyways, just blindly, no matter what.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, barring, the him declaring that there will be no elections,
Yeah.
that he's screwed, basically.
Yeah, and I mean, if he declared that there was going to be no elections, what would happen, I wonder?
Oh, there's a lot of institutional strength in the U.S. that would manage to get around that, I think.
Yeah. Oh, hopefully we don't have to find out.
Yeah, I hope. Yeah.
We were diverted from the pandemic a little earlier, but I wanted to mention this writer for New York Times, I think, and I think his name is Don McNeil, and he was a big journalist through the Ebola crisis, and he's I don't know if he's been to Wuhan, but he was just talking, and I found it rather interesting. He said that this virus, because it is so nasty, and he was talking about people getting separated from their families and quarantined. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about it in China and saying, he said, he sort of started off and said, the Chinese are just like us. They love their families just like we love our families. And we don't want to see our families die because of us, or we don't want to die because of them. And he said, in China, sometimes they would drag them kicking and screaming to put them in quarantine, to actually remove them from their family. And just the way he was talking about it, he says that's how you have to deal with it. If you want to protect your population, those people around you, that's what you have to do. And he just kind of looked at it like it was very practical. It wasn't like a political regime. It makes it way easier if that regime is in place, of course. Mm-hmm. But he said it's going to come down to that, and we should all kind of know that. Yeah. That's how serious, if we really want to, like, even in the States, things are so backwards and slow as far as testing is concerned. Like, who knows? I'm really worried what's going to happen there. Like, already they're having... they're already talking about the Wisconsin vote. There's already people who got sick because they had to go and vote. Mm-hmm. The beach is already. Oh my God. Anyway, I just thought it was a rather fascinating little look on, and he was a little bit more of the, let's talk 2 to 3 years if we're talking anywhere close to normal.
Yeah. Typically in North America, we've believed for 50 or more years that science will fix everything. And I think we're still believing that. And you just kind of think, well, I guess there's a limit. At some point, science is not going to be able to fix every single problem. I don't know if this is the limit. I doubt it. But at some point, didn't fix cancer yet. Made inroads, lots of inroads on treatment of cancer to reduce it, but it's not kind of erased. And you sort of wonder with viruses, like I said earlier on, like if another one came up in the next year before a vaccine for this one was developed, that would be tough. That would be real tough.
Well, science has a really good record with vaccines for this, for viruses. So you got your testing, your vaccines, and your treatments. Those are the big three in the triangle. And I think there's been some promising news on the vaccine camp, but we know that the timing for that is a really long time, like 6 to 18 months to get that to market. And then on the treatment camp, there's been some really promising results as well with one of those 4-syllable drugs that I think is passed or is just at the end of stage 1. So I don't know. Yep. I also think that science is going to come hard at this, but it still could be quite a while before things return to normal.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I actually do think they'll get it. But I, again, agree with both of you. I think it'll take a while. It's not going to be like fall. For me, I just wish testing. I wish testing was a thing that they could figure out how to do that really widely, quickly, easily. But
Well,
I guess it's easy to say. But
I'll be really surprised if schools in Canada go back in September.
yeah, I think I will too. And unless they come up with a test, I can't. I know it's funny. You read all these jokes around about how everybody who's at home with nothing to do has decided they're an epidemiologist now. But yeah, it's hard to imagine they're going to discover a test by fall. I don't know.
Yeah, I was looking at some of those graphs, and in BC, I saw the graph where it shows how we've been doing.
Yeah.
I think in terms of testing,
Yeah.
like number of cases, which is highly unreliable. But anyway, and it's you see it curving down, right? And then they showed, okay, so our model shows it, and it roughly traces that curving down, and it shows it dropping right down. Now, if we open things up, this is our model, and it shows it going way high up. And if we open things up halfway, here's our model, and it shows it going kind of high. But I look closely at that, and I'm going, wait a minute, it's not heading down. You look at the bars, and you're going, it's going up. It's got a classic parabola, great, and then it looks like it's a line. Like right now, we're just battling it down by staying at home.
Yeah, to the extent we're obeying the rules, we're keeping it at that level. And if they really cracked it down, it might start to trend. I wonder that too. How are they going to throttle it? Like, if at some point they decide they have to do some level of opening, what are the things that they think? Because I don't know about you guys, but when they announce more positive results, like the one you just mentioned, we're starting to level off and maybe go down. I'm pretty sure I noticed an uptick in traffic on the street right near where I lived, and an uptick in the people in parks.
100%.
And you sort of think, all you got to do is just mention something and kaboom, it goes. Just imagine if they said, we're going to carefully open up, I don't know, pick something, schools. Everybody's just going to receive that as game on, woohoo. I don't know how they're going to throttle it. How will they manage to open up just a little bit? Just no idea.
But they're talking about it, and they've thrown out a number of possibilities. I think the first one that they really highlighted was let's start allowing people to have surgeries again.
Yeah.
Because what I've heard is that the hospitals are much more empty now than they normally are. Yeah. And that's just so that they're ready for a sudden influx. But on the other hand,
they're also using all that PPE in elective surgeries, right? That I think they want to conserve that until they know that they've got a firm grip on where all that stuff is coming from.
Yeah. Now, speaking of which, guys, I have a box of 10 N95s here. I'm starting bidding at $3,000.
Nice.
Okay, so listeners, did you hear that? 3,000. That's only 1.5 CERB payments.
The important
thing, mere 1.5 CERB payments, you can have 10 N95 masks. Man.
And those are skookum masks too. They got the little vent in them, right? Those aren't just the straight N95.
Those are the ones that actually fit and seal. You'd have to shave, but they will fit and seal if you do.
That's right. Well, and I'm subject to a $500 fine in BC now for profiteering.
That's right.
But I feel if I can pull in $3,000, that'll pay for the fine, and I can still.
I was just going to suggest you immediately given that $3,500.
Yeah. Oh yes. Well, it's $3,000, but there's a $500 facility fee.
That's right. Plus, you have to sign a little contract that if the criminal charges arising from that $500 fine affect your income down the line, they're accountable for that too.
I did call there's a number when I had to go into the hospital for a procedure. I think it was about a week ago now. And the little whiteboard at the welcoming area gives you a number to call if you have PPE to contribute. So I did call that number yesterday, left a message. They actually tried to call me back while we were podcasting. But at the same time, you guys were on your little breaks there. And at the same time, I was talking, having an important conversation that I could not hang up on. So anyway, they didn't leave me a message. So
that's good. Good on you, though. Way to be a good citizen.
I don't feel that Burnaby or BC or Burnaby in particular has been running out of them, but I think that they have the potential to suddenly run out. So
yeah.
I got offered a gig this week.
You're kidding.
I know.
Wow.
That's pretty
Wow.
rare, isn't it? So the
Wow.
guy, the director of Bahumbug down at SFU Woodwards, he's got his finger in all sorts of organizations in the downtown east side. And he was talking to somebody, and they mentioned that the downtown east side, there's just way too many people who don't have any access to any kind of social media, like not even television, let alone
Yeah.
phones and shit, right? And he was in some sort of meeting, and he said, well, what you need is a town crier. And the lady he was talking to said, well, what's that? Oh, hear ye, stand on your soapbox. And so he's going to try this out. And the gig is 2 hours a day for 5 days in a row. And you go down, and you're either going to have a mic and a speaker, portable, or else a megaphone, and you get a page of instruction that you read, and it's basically for social distancing, washing your hands, that kind of stuff. Just because some people think that the people they're not reading all the little signs and stuff. Anyway, so I said to him that I would do it. He's gonna one of the native actors in the show is going to do it, and I don't know if they're just going to do it for 2 weeks, so that he's going to do 1 week, and then he wanted me to do the other one. I said yes, but I said I'd check with Susan first. So I went up and I said, so I got offered this gig in downtown. No, she said, no, you are not doing that. No. And I said, well, the Parks Board is going to be there, and they're going to make sure that nobody gets near you. And no, she said, you would die instantly. And I think she's right. So I had to turn it down.
Riding through there, it was very eerie. I've said this before, say it again. Ride through there sometime. Take a drive or a car. I feel guilty saying it that way, but when you go through there, it is like another world. They really do not have any concern whatsoever for social distancing or for COVID or coronavirus. They got such bigger fish to fry that they're just not invested in. It's real weird. It's upsetting.
I think I was talking to him when I heard the word quarantine come up, where they were going to actually, I think if they found cases, that they were going to have buildings where they would start putting people. And that's quite contrary to anything else I've ever heard in Canada. But you got to think, well, how do you do it down there?
But they're doing it at the airport, right? So like in BC, if you fly in from abroad in BC and you don't have a very convincing quarantine plan, they'll quarantine you. So it's not just the downtown east side guys.
They'll put you in a motel or something?
They'll put you somewhere, but if you don't have a plan, they'll make you a plan. Like they'll take care of it.
Oh.
That got announced probably a week ago, I think. Can't remember. It's not too long. It's been adopted across Canada, I think, too.
Speaking of the airport, how's Haley doing? Is she still out east?
Yep. And she's having a good time. And today it was hailing, and I don't have a return date for her. So she's just, as far as she's concerned, I have no real insight as to are they just spending their entire time inside or what they're doing. I don't know. I assume so, but all I know is when I took her to the airport, there was nobody in the airport, just nobody at all. Like if there was 30 people who weren't employees in there, I'd be surprised. And she told a friend on social media that the plane was not at all crowded. So good.
Yeah.
That's kind of all I know, though. I don't know how the airport in Toronto was. She had a layover there.
And that's a week ago now, right?
Almost
2 weeks?
Week and a half. Yeah. So I don't know. They're obviously I could wish that she was not having a little sojourn away in Quebec right now, but that's where she is. So hopefully she's really looking out for herself.
Yeah, I'm sure she is.
Hope so. And when she comes back, I'll experience the full quarantine thing. I have to try to think up,
right.
Well, I got to think up, what do I got to stockpile? What do I got, like all of that. So that's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's okay though, because we can remote in. We can even wear our hats from remote. So that's good.
There you go.
That's the end of this episode. Again, who knows what you're going to see and hear, what you're going to make of what you have just seen and heard. If you didn't get a chance, you were listening to this only, you might get a chance to go look at it on YouTube because we should have a video of it up. We're doing that because when we remote in, the tools are easily available and it's kind of fun to go look and see. But if you've just listened to it and you've had enough, that's fine. Failing that, maybe go have a look on YouTube and see if it's a whole different experience. We'd kind of like to know. No matter what you do or don't do, thank you for coming in. Look forward to you coming in again. And until you do, take care of yourselves. Make sure you're still here the next time we release one, and we'll talk to you soon. See you, boys.
Bye.
See you later. Okay, that's enough of that. Boy, that's really weird. I love that background, RJ.
Oh, nice, eh?
Yeah, I do like that one. Way better than the woods.